Perek Cheskas Habatim, Daf Lamed Ches, sponsored Lilu Nishmas Nasan Baruch ben Yosef. The Gemara teaches there are other forms of protest other than illegal occupation. The Gemara brings the opinion of the Nardoi that one who purchased even one date palm is entitled to land directly underneath it. The purchase includes his tree growing in the seller's field. This right is unlimited. The buyer can replace old withered trees with new ones. Rava explains their opinion applies only when the buyer claims the seller included it explicitly in the sale. Otherwise, he can claim he sold it as one who sells saffron. As soon as the saffron grows fully, the buyer must pull it out and not plant again. He has no land rights. However, Rava's explanation is difficult. After 3 years of consuming dates, the buyer can claim the land was included in the contract without documented proof. Rav Ashi answers, the seller must protest within the first 3 years, the same way a borrower protests a mashkanta desura. Both cannot protest their opponent's occupancy, but just as the borrower can protest in front of two witnesses that the lender is entitled to occupy his land, consume its produce only until the debt is paid, so to the seller of the date palm can protest in front of the two witnesses the sale was similar to the sale of land to grow saffron. Now we move on to a new Mishnah. The logic to determine ownership by way of a chazaka is a landowner would contest one occupying his property, not tolerating its unauthorized use. However, if the landowner has no way to register a complaint heard by the occupant, 3-year occupancy is meaningless. The Mishnah brings a machlokas whether to divide Eretz Yisrael regarding protest into 3 distinct provinces. The Tanna Kama holds land owned in the Galil by one living in Yehuda or vice versa, the owner is not required to register a protest against one who occupied his land, even if he knows of his occupation, because the occupant will not hear it. His only option to acquire the land is a document. However, if the owner is in the same province as the land, he must register a protest, otherwise the occupant acquires after 3 years. Rabbi Yehuda explains the requirement of 3 years refers to a landowner in Spain. 1 year travel from Eretz Yisrael, where his property was occupied in his absence. A full year is necessary for his occupancy to become public knowledge. A year travel to notify the owner, and a year return for the owner to protest. He disagrees with the Tanna Kama on 2 issues. Number 1, when the owner is in the same province as his land, he must protest immediately. Otherwise, the occupant acquires. He does not require a 3-year occupation. Number 2, after 3 years, the occupant acquires even if the owner's land is in the Galil and he is in Yehuda. The Gemara resolves an apparent contradiction in the Tanna Kama's opinion. He holds a protest not in the presence of an occupant is a protest. Therefore, as long as the owner is in the same province as his land, he must protest the occupation. The Tanna Kama does not require the owner to protest in Yehuda for land in Galil because they represent provinces hostile to one another, not permitting travelers to cross borders. A protest in such a situation would be futile. Yehuda and Galil, mentioned specifically, were always detached from one another, even in times of peace. The Gemara brings 2 versions of Rav's opinion whether he holds one cannot establish a chazaka on land belonging to a fugitive. Number 1, Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah. One can protest only in the presence of an occupant. One on the run cannot register a protest. His explanation of the Tanna Kama that a protest need not be in the presence of the occupant is not his personal opinion. Shmuel disagrees. Even a fugitive, wherever he is, can register a protest. Reports of his protest will reach the occupant. Number 2, Rav holds a protest not in the presence of the occupant is a protest. Therefore, one can establish a chazaka on property of a fugitive. His ruling regarding a fugitive is novel because, fearful, he may protest only in front of witnesses that are lame or traveling far away from the occupant. According to Rav, it is still a protest because chavra yislei. The witnesses will discuss it with their friends. Shmuel held chavra yislei does not suffice. He must protest the witnesses who can report to the occupant. The halacha is a protest not in the presence of the occupant is a protest. However, one cannot establish a chazaka on land of a fugitive facing murder charges. He cannot afford to divulge his location. If you're enjoying Daf and 5, please click on the link below, subscribe, and become a sponsor. Thank you.